Attention. The movie guys love movies. Any comments made about an evil capitalist who launches the 1% into space while the rest of the world wallows in poverty are purely for entertainment purposes only. Isn't that right, Richard Branson?
That Richard Branson will rethink his life.
That'll teach him.
We told him.
You don't mess with the movie guys.
He's going to come after you.
Richard Branson.
He could shoot us into space. He has that much money.
Exactly. We don't want to.
It doesn't matter if we want to.
Would you want to go into space?
No, I'm saying he could just come in here, buy us, and shoot us into space.
Oh, I know what you're saying. While we're doing the show.
Sure.
Welcome to the Movie Showcast, everybody. Part of the vast and sprawling movie guys empire. I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence. You've reached ground zero for all things movies and comedy. We bring the two together right here on our show every week with rants, sketches, previews, characters, jokes, bits, special guests, and more. Music going in and out, it's all crazy. You can expect that in the next hour or so as we broadcast from the Admirals Club in beautiful Burbank, California. The show is available on iTunes and SoundCloud. If you'd like to see the show, it's a video podcast too. You can head on over to YouTube. And show note, you can also now catch us on badtomato.fm on the old interwebs. 4 p.m. on Fridays. That's our show. Also on Bad Tomato, The Hater Nation.
Yes,
our good friends,
definitely.
The Hater Nation.
Good friends.
Now search the Movie Showcast or the Movie Guys on YouTube. We come right up. Paul Preston here with Lee Caius, Karen Volpe, and Adam Witt. Later in the show, we'll be talking to our special guest, actor David Mattey. Friends call him Big Dave. And we have a huge weekend of movies on paper, at least, with at least 4 big releases, including the Haves versus future Matt Damon in Elysium. We're the Millers, where Jennifer Aniston is blazingly hot and something else probably happens. The Elvis impersonator of Pixar films, Disney's Planes. And later in the show...
The only thing that has the power to save our home is the Golden Fleece. It's in the Sea of Monsters, what the humans called the Bermuda Triangle.
That look on your face was correct, Karen.
Oh my God, who makes these things?
I love that
for
they're
you.
bringing back the Bermuda Triangle.
And the Golden
I
Fleece.
know. Remember the orange books when you were a kid in the library? They'd be like Bermuda Triangle, UFOs,
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
famous
really?
monsters.
Loch
yeah.
Ness Monster.
Loch Ness Monster, yeah.
Oh, I don't remember those.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember all the TV specials. There were specials about
yeah.
every one of those all the time.
Well,
In Search
oh,
of with Leonard
Spock,
Nimoy.
yeah.
There was a whole
Yeah.
episode of In Search of.
God,
based
you
on
could
the
just
Bermuda
watch
Triangle.
hours of the Bigfoot in search of. I could watch that forever.
And now it's back for kids.
I watch.
I guess. Yeah.
I watch Finding Bigfoot, Searching for Bigfoot, Finding Bigfoot,
That's the one with the squatch?
Squatching.
Squatching.
I will watch.
Squatching?
I
Yeah.
will watch that every time it is on, and they're not gonna find shit.
Well, this is the greatest thing. There's this guy that is convinced there's Bigfoots, and he has Sasquatches, squatches.
Big feet?
The Yetis? Is
And-
that the same thing?
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
but there's like no, there's nothing convincing about what he's saying. He's just telling these scientists like. He's frying up bacon, and he's like, "Oh, squatches love bacon. They love the smell of bacon." And you're like, "Okay,
Squatches.
How do they know this?
how do they know this?" And then he'll show some videotape. The greatest one was there was this videotape where the people are like, "Well, we were camping and we had our cooler out there, and then all of a sudden the beer was gone." Which means your friends drank your beer, but they're like, so we think it's an animal. And then they had this weird video that was all grainy and pixelated, but it could have easily been one of their friends taking a beer out of the cooler.
So squatching, is that a verb? When you go out
It's a
looking for
squatch.
squatches?
When you're hunting
Yeah.
squatch.
I think they coined
That,
it.
Right.
That's almost as good as the Loch Ness Monster. I love the Loch Ness Monster. There's just something so exciting to think about the fact that it could exist because
Yeah,
it's a
it was-
really deep loch from like maybe it's a dinosaur. I love that.
Those myths were so exciting.
I
They don't
do-
have those anymore, do they?
I do want
No,
to bring
apparently.
up.
They do in theaters.
The Golden Fleece. We can go see that.
Well, this is very apropos because right now it's Shark Week on the Discovery Channel, which I want to go on record as being the first to say Shark Week has jumped the shark.
oh no.
Oh,
It has totally jumped the
Really?
shark.
That
Yes.
happened.
I remember as a kid or younger man in college, I think is when Shark Week first came out.
Yeah, they didn't have internet or what cable
The
when you were a
cable,
kid.
yeah. So when I was in college, those I think when Shark Week was first launched, and my sister and I every summer in August we'd honker down for a week and we'd watch the same 3 hours of footage that they have.
Yes.
That they programmed the entire week with. And it's just some nutty Australian couple that invented a mesh suit that the shark would bite on.
Same doc.
Right?
They used to show that before
always.
Jaws on TV.
Now it's just this overproduced reality bullshit, fake drama, contrived tension, and
Did they interview the sharks in like a separate camera?
Yeah.
I saw him swimming. I saw his feet, and I was like, I'm gonna go up there. And
they take him into the shark cage confessional, and they're like, well, you know.
Jabberjaw comics. They ever show Jabberjaw cartoons?
Oh, that would rock if they did.
Jabberjaw.
They should.
So yeah, it's very disappointing. Hopefully, Percy Jackson will bring it around for me.
All right, enough of this nonsense. On to new nonsense. Before we get to the Percy Jackson bit, there are so many summer movies. We don't want to waste any time. This weekend's box office frontrunner, as far as I'm concerned, it's the second Friday of the month, which means it's time for another end-of-the-world film. Adam, let's talk Elysium.
Let's do it.
Elysium. Fast, effective relief for constipation. Okay, it doesn't actually relieve constipation. It's the new Matt Damon movie. Well, then maybe it does actually relieve constipation. But that's a wonderful side effect to this new sci-fi thriller.
It's science fiction. Very big with the kids.
Fans of Oblivion, get ready for the Earth to suck again with Elysium, another bold vision of a dystopian future from Neil Blomkamp, the director of District 9, which I think we can all agree we should watch again because don't we? We remember loving it, but we haven't watched it since now, have we?
No.
Okay.
I haven't seen it at all.
In the year 2154, only the rich will have food, health care, and extravagant homes, and the poor will be hungry, sick, and live in shitty neighborhoods. Just try to envision such an apocalyptic hellscape from your apartment in Detroit waiting for Obamacare to kick in.
All this rich, well-to-do living takes place on an off-Earth space station called Elysium, from the Latin meaning Orange County.
Matt Damon plays Max DaCosta, a factory worker who is one of the millions of downtrodden souls subjected to the living hell back on Earth that is Los Angeles. Because if movies have taught us anything, it's that LA really sucks in the future.
Now, the idea that life sucks for the poor won't require much suspension of disbelief. That Matt Damon lives among them might. Yeah.
Now, when Max gets an illness, he has just 5 days to get to Elysium. To do this, he has a robotic exoskeleton fused to his body, turning him into Robo Matt Damon.
Nice.
A creature with 10 times the charm and acting range of the original Matt Damon. And who may be future mankind's last hope to get Ocean's 25 made.
The Damonator.
Damon plays an ex-con who steals the identity of a successful businessman in order to sneak into a foreign land so that he can get access to better health care. Oh, wait. That sounds familiar. Oh, yeah, right. They're called dreamers.
The only thing standing in the way are Jodie Foster's calves, who played Delacourt, the head muckety-muck of Elysium. Head muckety-muck being future speak for Secretary of Defense.
Robo-hunk.
Okay, thank you. We got it. She sends her finest soldier named Kruger to prevent Damon's lowly earthling from entering Elysium. Kruger is played by Charlton Copley, one of Hollywood's most enduring Charltos.
It's The Road Warrior meets 1984, meets Logan's Run, meets After Earth. So hopefully we'll see an appearance by Will Smith's Cypher Rage.
It just sounds like an 80s rock star. Already this year, we've had 5 or 6 different apocalyptic films. Did every Hollywood studio get the Mad Libs Book of Plots End of the World edition for Christmas? Or I should say, Hanukkah. All right, there you go.
And that's Elysium. For fast, effective relief. I like that one.
Oh, I should mention, lest we forget, the trailer features the return of one of our favorite movie preview sound effects. Let me just give you a little of it.
That can punctuate any moment.
it kind of sounds like little farting noises. It's like.
That's kind of a new take on the slowdown.
It's like the slowdown with the
A beat.
dubstep.
Yeah.
Oh, dubstep slowdown. I like that.
It's a combination.
It's my new album, Dubstep
the bwong.
Slowdown.
But I have noticed also there's tons of variations of that. But that can be put into every movie now. I mean, we've just watched so many trailers, obviously, for this show, so we can educate the public.
That's mainly our goal.
But we did watch like some slasher trailer last night for the Visitors or whatever, the guy that wears a goat head.
You're next.
That was full of it. Then we watched some like kids movie that was full of it. Anyway.
You know what could really use that sound bite is Downton Abbey.
Absolutely.
Then I'd watch.
Well, that's something I was talking to Paul about
Yes,
yesterday.
master. Bwah.
Yes, Bates.
Your crumpet, sir.
Let's all
Is
go
it-
to the
his-
carnival.
His name is not Master Bates, is it?
Yes.
That's
I love it.
fantastic. Okay,
He's
I'll
a
watch.
servant, and his name's Master Bates.
Oh.
It's Mr. Bates, so
Mr.
he's not in charge of the
Yeah,
house.
he'd have to be like 10, right, to do that.
Oh, okay.
8. Is it 10 or 8?
What do I know
I
from
was
English?
in a production.
To giggle at
No,
it?
get this. I was in a production when I was 11 of Oliver, because every young aspiring actress plays a boy when you're 11. And I played Charlie Bates, and my character was Master Bates. I was 11 and did not get the joke.
I remember as a child getting birthday and Christmas cards from my grandmother, Master Lee. And I remember thinking the day that stopped, I'm like, what happened to the Master? Now it was just,
Yeah.
Mister.
Just
She
whoever.
got to know you. That's what.
Now you just Lee.
Yeah, but it was always Master, and I thought that's really cool.
That
And
is
then one day it just stopped. My mom had to explain to me that I'm too old.
So,
Oh.
so bold vision of the future alert
Yes.
again. Oblivion was really good,
Right.
and this looks like another filmmaker who's written and directed and is bringing this cool like world to life. It looks so cool with Matt Damon as the Robo Matt Damon.
I couldn't tell you who Neil Blomkamp is before District 9, but what a way to come on the scene if that's really his first movie. I don't know, was that based on a short film of his or something?
It might have been.
But, man, I mean, Oscar nomination, the whole deal. It's like now he's got to deliver, and I think he totally is going to with his second film. And sticking to a way of making pictures. You know, suddenly he's not just turning around and making,
Smurfs 3.
you know, Smurfs 3. Yeah, exactly.
A Neil
I got-
Blomkamp film.
because he got everything with District 9. He got the money, he got the awards, he got so he could do whatever he wants, and he's sticking with like trying to stay heady and technical, and I'm excited.
I was
about
excited to see this movie when I heard that Blomkamp was directing, because I've always thought Blomkamp was a sexual move.
It does sound like you could give someone a Blumkamp.
it. Neil Blomkamp.
You
Yeah.
usually have to direct someone into a Blomkamp, right?
with your hand.
They don't direct to
Well,
themselves.
that's coming up later. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're all excited about this one. Karen.
I'm really excited about this movie.
Matt Damon's yummy.
No,
He's
not,
no Mark
not-
Wahlberg.
Anytime you're that distressed, you can't be yummy. Unless
How's he
you're
distressed?
Liam Neeson.
What do you mean distressed?
Because he's sick and he's running. See, he's distressed in that picture of the Bourne Ultimatum, and he's just not as hot.
He's yummy in the Bourne Ultimatum.
Oh my gosh.
He's not like sweaty and cancer ridden or anything.
No, and that's the thing. In this one, he's all cancery.
Sweaty and
Not that
cancery.
cancer people aren't hot. Let's not be like that. I'm just saying.
I'm not just saying.
I'm not saying that people with
Look,
cancer aren't hot.
That's
I'm
what I
just saying.
said.
Cancer is sexy. We all know that.
All right, well, let's change.
right.
Let's change tone here a little bit, because between the Daily Show and the Real Time with Bill Maher, I know there are plenty of comedy shows that people rely on as their main source of news. God help them. But we want in. So let's do another round of movie news based on a series of posts at themovieguys.net called The Latest. All right. Now, what is shaking and baking in Hollywood? Our first news story. In the ongoing effort for the Expendables movies to outdo the previous, casting-wise, Bruce Willis is out of the Expendables 3 and will be replaced by none other than Harrison Ford.
Crazy.
That's
Let's
a move
get
up.
some thoughts on this news. Karen?
Really? He's not a shitty ex-action star.
Adam?
Ford will join the cast after Stallone finishes his 211-game suspension.
Naturally. Lee?
The Expendables movies are a lot like the Pro Bowl. Woefully underwhelming, and invariably Tony Romo throws an interception to lose the game.
That's a given. This news went out on Stallone's Twitter feed. At the same time, Stallone called Willis greedy and lazy. So Willis immediately responded with his thoughts on performing in the Expendables movies.
This part is not acting.
Well, there you go. Discuss.
Wow.
Why would he was in the first? He was in one before, right?
Harrison Ford?
No.
Oh, Willis was in the last two.
he was the last
So
Yeah.
why at all do you not do this? And how's that lazy?
You got to be, I don't know, a pain in the ass, perhaps?
I mean, that has got to be a gigantic clash of egos, right? I mean, Stallone, we all want to think is like our buddy and hanging out, but he's been famous since he was, I mean, he's got to have some huge ego on him too. So you get all those. I mean, the amount of egos in the room with these Expendables movies must be incredible.
But they've worked together with Planet Hollywood, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Willis for years.
No, you act like they all bust the kitchen. They all came together to cut the. They all came together and told a bunch of investors, not them, to put their money in it. And then they all cut the ribbon on opening day, and that's the last time they all saw each other.
Yeah, but well,
Come
why
on.
wouldn't Stallone want to call it Stallone's Kitchen or the Willis Hollywood or Schwarzen Diner? Whatever.
I want to go to Schwartz and Diner.
You know,
Totally-
they could all.
I am eating
It's
at
They work
Schwartz and
together.
Diner.
They work together like the Expendables, and now they're not
Okay.
going to.
Now, do we know who stopped dating the other one? Who stopped dating who?
Stallone stopped dating Willis as a
Oh.
result of this
Wow. He did not ask him back.
Harrison Ford, though, always getting things done on his own. Now he's coming in with the group.
I don't see how he's going to
Pretty
fit.
cool.
Do you think he'll shoot guys or just be the guy who sends them on their mission?
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, that's what
He could
Bruce
be in
Willis
charge.
did. Did he get
Yeah,
do any
that's what I'm
shooting in
saying.
Expendables 2?
Yeah, I think at the end of he might have done a little.
Yeah, because I only saw the first one.
That's okay.
I don't see where Harrison's going to. I just don't see it.
But the weird thing was that Expendables was this collection of not just people who were in action movies in the 80s, although it's funny, action is democratized now. You know, all these stars can be action stars. As soon as they get one hit, immediately Ryan Reynolds is an action star.
It's just like porn. Once you do
Taylor
one blowjob, you're a porn star.
Tell me about yes.
Once you do one, you just can't stop.
Yeah.
But he obviously there's a huge difference in quality between what Harrison Ford was doing in the 80s, Patriot Games, and Air Force
Acting.
One, and acting,
Presentation.
and Witness,
Yeah.
and what Stallone and Seagal
Cobra.
and yeah, I
They
mean,
were-
so when they mashed them
Tango
all
and
together
Cash.
together in Expendables, you're like, oh yeah, it's all those guys that did all those shitty films.
See, I
you
would have
know?
thought Kurt Russell would have come aboard before someone like Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I think we're ignoring the bigger story, which is where is Jean-Claude Van Damme?
That
Was
is
he in two?
perfect.
He was the bad guy in the second
There you go. yeah.
Nice.
Okay, is he coming back? Oh,
He was the bad
well,
guy.
They killed him probably.
I think he lived
Dolph
to
Lundgren?
see
Is
the
Dolph
day.
Lundgren coming back?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Didn't he die in the first
I
one?
am literally making up
No,
names I didn't
no.
think were in the movie.
They got him. They called him up. They got him.
How about Florin Flaggerhand? Is he coming back? Yeah, my main guy.
Rutger Hauer? Rutger Hauer.
Ding,
Oh,
bang,
no,
and
see,
Howard.
he should show up.
Rutger
He's
Hauer.
got to be like
You hit
80,
one.
though.
Thank you.
He's got to be 80.
That doesn't matter.
He was just in
How
Hobo
old
with
is
a
Harrison
shotgun.
It
Ford?
doesn't matter. It's 72 or whatever. Yeah. No, he's
Right?
70 this year. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Good Lord. All right, the next story.
All right.
James Cameron and Fox recently announced that there will be Avatar sequels, but now that number has been upped to 3 sequels, coming out in 2016, 2017, and 2018, a year I can't even really fathom is happening.
The year in which we're all supposed to be in Elysium, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
But are the writers on board?
Is there a script?
Fuck no. But there's a poster.
They say they've got Josh Friedman, Shane Salerno, and others on board, but I think we should seize the moment and pitch our plot lines to Cameron and see if we can get one greenlit. Now, if you remember, Avatar was about human imperialists landing on Pandora, a land full of blue people called Na'vi,
I'm afraid I just blew myself.
and destroying the natives and their trees, wildlife, and environment in search of a rich energy source called unobtainium. All right, now I'm going to go first. All right,
Please do.
James Cameron. Naturally, you're listening to the movie, guys. So let me just give you this free of charge, all right? A new energy source emerges. It's called It's All Oursium. And it's hidden underwater on Pandora. So the human military industrial miners have to destroy Pandora's coral reef to get it. Who else has got a pitch?
That's good.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Pretty heavy stuff. Pretty heavy
Okay,
stuff.
so Pandora's latest power source is called Ain't Got No Morium. And in order to get it, the human military industrial miners of Earth have to blast through a wall of baby seals.
Oh, I
Oh,
like
baby
that.
seal
That's
blasting.
very much.
That's got. Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
it's
hold
an
on. a second.
environmental message intact so far. Like,
Yeah.
How about this? Humans return to Pandora, but this time to find yet another alternative energy source. This one's called Don't Run Outium. Okay? And it lives in the hearts of panda bears.
Oh, in
Not-
pandas.
stay with me. Sam Worthington must do all the airbending he can to stop Stephen Lang's clone and his military army of industrial miners from carving out the we never thought we'd run outium from the chests of the panda bears.
No, I think that's great.
Wow.
It's great.
I think
That
it's
is
great.
good.
Karen?
Oh, how about this? An evil wizard chases these blue people from their village, and they tumble out of their magical world into ours, into Central Park. And then they must find a way to get back to their world with the help of Neil Patrick Harris.
I'm going to stop you right there. That's the plot of the Smurfs.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the wrong blue people.
Well, there is one thing the Na'vi and the Smurfs have in common.
500 million.
All right, so they made money.
Right.
Another film is doing the cross-platform release thing as Lovelace opens in theaters this weekend. At the same time, it becomes available on video on demand and iTunes. Amanda Seyfried plays Linda Lovelace, the porn star from Deep Throat.
I'm afraid I just blew myself.
Lovelace went on to rally against the porn industry in her later years. I think we should talk about this film, but I fear we would slip into double entendre.
Well, I just hope this movie doesn't blow. Or maybe I do.
When's it coming out?
Look, Paul, will there ever be a feel-good story about the porn industry? I mean, I, for one, find these movies a little hard to swallow.
Okay.
Yeah, they get me choked up.
You know, the problem with these types of movies is they do get messy by the end, definitely.
All right.
The porn industry rejected Linda Lovelace, as a matter of fact, years after she came out and spoke out against them. So I'm not too sure I want to watch her get the shaft for 2 hours. From
Okay, enough. All right. Does anyone have any single entendre comments?
Looks like they fuck a lot, and Amanda Seyfried shows her tits.
I almost forgot we were doing the latest.
I know. That's because Lovelace opens this weekend. But is it worth even talking about? I mean, it looked pretty good when I saw the trailer.
I'm going to watch it. See, now this is the kind of movie that I go, ooh, they're going to be portraying porn, and maybe we'll be able to see the backstory, and that really is way more interesting to me than like Blue People.
Well, they've got a one-up Inside Deep Throat, the documentary that came out a few years back that was fantastic.
Or was that Behind the Green Door?
What's that?
Behind the Green Door? Was that
Deep
what it was?
Throat.
Deep Throat.
But wasn't the movie called Behind the Green Door?
That was a different movie.
Research.
Behind the Green Door is another porn.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
That's a different. That's with some other.
Is that Marilyn Chambers?
Marilyn Chambers.
Yeah.
My notes tell me. The internet tells me.
I'm always intrigued by.
I had to look that up. I didn't know that off the top of my head.
I'm always intrigued by something that is considered scandalous, like doing porn or people doing drugs and stuff, because I'm so lame, I don't have any real point of reference, that I love movies that explain how they get into that world or how they get absorbed into the drugs or absorbed into the sex. It's just so fascinating to me.
I have a feeling that Amanda thinks this is going to be her Boogie Nights.
Yeah, she thinks she's a roller girl.
Yeah.
I really feel
or
like
she thinks
does.
she's going to be Mark Wahlberg in this. Like, I don't know if this is really going to break her through or... I got that feeling
Not
when
with
I
a
was watching.
multi-platform release. That's really a sign of confidence. I would think,
No.
unless they're trying to start a new thing. But
That's get the gringo territory.
yeah, exactly.
And I heard she's wearing a huge merkin.
Really?
No,
You
didn't
don't know anything.
Call back.
You didn't know Marilyn Chambers.
No, but didn't Wahlberg wear like a prosthetic?
He had a
Yes.
fake penis.
Okay, that's what I'm
know,
saying.
I
So
was
she had to wear a
Fake dick.
merkin.
I see.
That was the joke.
This is actually something I would check out. See, now this is important. Whenever guys do like a Western or something, they'll grow their beard. Like you grew your beard, right? Well, the chicks today are so smooth downstairs.
And kissable.
And kissable. If I were like, oh, I'm doing a porno. When's it set? Oh, 70-something. I got to get busy growing my deal. Because you've got to get that situation working out. Unless you can't in time, and then you have to wear merkin.
Going full Madonna.
Our next movie is We're the Millers. That's now okay. Continuing semi-theme here. It's got Jennifer Aniston stripping. So I know two things. One, we're in. Two, I'm sure Lee will want to talk about it. Here we go.
Yes. In We're the Millers, SNL Jason Sudeikis plays David Clark, a down-on-his-luck drug dealer who's forced to act as a drug mule for Ed Helms, who pays him $100,000 to bring back what he describes a smidge of marijuana from Mexico. Now, instead of visiting one of the 15 marijuana dispensaries on my block, David instead consults the big book of sitcom plots and invents a fake family to try to fool the border guards.
To be his wife, he employs a stripper named Rose, and for his kids, he chooses a dim-witted neighbor and a thief. He packs them all in an RV because no border guard would suspect an RV to be full of drugs unless they've seen Breaking Bad.
Paul, you'll want to have the boing sound effect ready here because Jennifer Aniston is in this.
Okay, that's kind of childishly.
Is it, Paul? You remember when we were a child and everything was magical?
Okay.
Jennifer Aniston plays a stripper who pretends to be a wife and a mother. See, it worked out.
Yeah, it sounds sexy until you realize not only is she not nude, but she's not even nude.
Yes, but after an encounter with a Mexican drug cartel, they do use the old porn film getaway technique of having her do a pole dance.
This film does know how to butter my bread, as there are no less than 17 scenes with Jennifer Aniston where she is forced to prove that she is indeed a stripper by stripping in order to help maintain the ruse.
Now, have Robin Williams and Cheryl Hines taught us nothing? RVs are death to movies. Anytime you have a movie heavily featuring an RV, you just know it's going to suck.
Shitter was full!
Well, okay. Well, there was Christmas Vacation. Yeah.
Well, what about one of my favorite movies of all time, Lost in America?
Maybe I just didn't explain the nest egg well enough. If you had understood, it's a very sacred thing, the nest egg.
Paul, you're missing the point. RV starring Robin Williams was a horrible movie. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, point taken. Now, Crazy Director Name Month continues as this film is brought to you by Rawson Marshall Thurber, director of Dodgeball. It also is from the writers of Wedding Crashers, so expect all the great humor of those two movies, and unfortunately, probably the narrative problems of them as well.
Jason Sudeikis and Ed Helms appear on screen together once and for all, proving to my mother and father that they are not the same person.
But when you watch this trailer, and you see four strangers play the eager son, the eye-rolling daughter, the impatient but caring mom, and the absent-minded dad trying to hold it all together, it kind of reflects the struggles of an actual American family. So maybe We're the Millers is a metaphor for society. Maybe in our way, we are all just families smuggling pot. Or maybe I was high when I wrote this.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that one. Now, if this movie doesn't make money, I think we can blame the fact that they passed on the title Drug Running Stripper.
That's how you get foreign financing right there.
Actually, I would rather have them gone with Undercover MILF.
Ooh. Undercover MILF is good.
Something tells me that's already taken, though.
Drug Running Stripper and Undercover MILF.
I'm pretty sure Undercover MILF is already a movie.
Friday on Cinemax.
I am looking forward to this movie.
After dark.
I keep calling it the wrong name, though. It's, what is it?
We're the Millers.
We're the Millers. And I keep wanting to call it Meet the Millers.
So do I.
Right? I want to call it Meet the Millers. But the reason I want to call it that is because when I was a kid, my mom would always make these Christmas cookies that were like a little sugar cookie, and they were from Meet the Millers. And so we'd always be like, Mom, make Meet the Millers. So I made some Meet the Millers. So
you have them with us?
Christmas cookies.
Do you seriously?
Karen's getting a tin of Christmas cookies.
No, wait.
It's Christmas in
What a
August.
surprise. By the way, this is a perfect time to let everyone know that we are on YouTube if you're just listening to this.
No, wait,
and you can see the unveiling right here of cookies in the studio.
Explain again why they're Miller cookies?
Wait, they're called We're the Millers cookies?
They're called Meet the Miller cookies.
They're called Meet the Millers.
Oh.
And there's a TV show that my mom used to watch, and they would give out different recipes, and these cookies are super simple, to the point where I didn't even have to leave the house. I already had all the ingredients. And so we would have these every Christmas. And so now all I can think about is Jennifer Aniston stripping and eating these cookies.
He's down on the chewing.
Sorry about that, radio listeners.
Jason Sudeikis, friend of the show.
Yeah? Is he coming on? When's he coming on?
Yeah.
He's not coming on, but
Well, tell him
I
there's
knew him in
cookies.
Chicago, so.
All right.
He,
if we at least
BJ,
go,
you want a cookie? Yeah.
we can get at least a degree or two away from the show and call them a friend of the show, I think.
Like so many.
You guys all know me, and I knew Jason when he
He
was in
admires
Chicago.
from afar, like a lot of our listeners.
He was very prolific during his time at SNL. A lot of people leave to make movies. He's already made 2 or 3, hasn't he?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do so many people have to leave Saturday Night Live in order to make... Why did Jimmy Fallon have to leave the show completely and make Taxi? But Jason Sudeikis has made 10 movies.
Bill Hader.
It's pretty great. Yeah,
He's been
Bill
in
Hader.
like
Oh,
10
yeah,
movies.
you're right. This whole
He's
cast.
leaving finally this
But
year,
he's
too.
not the linchpin on any of them. Bill Hader's not carrying the movie, but he's doing well.
No,
Right.
but
he's
they
not the
put in
one.
appearances. But you're right. Sudeikis is the lead
They're
in a bunch
counting
of
on
these
him.
movies, too. Yeah.
And he's
Question.
good. He's
Oh my
hilarious.
God. I didn't want to forget. There is this video that is online right now that is super amazing that has all these people plus Jason Bateman.
The Milford and Sons music
oh my
video.
God.
Mumford, yeah.
Mumford and Son. It's awesome. You've got to check it
Okay,
out.
Grandpa Caius.
Don't check it out right now. Keep
knows his
watching our
porn.
show.
Your Space Trek, with your Space Trek.
No, that's a funny video.
Millard
It's
Miller.
Really
it's Ed
great.
Helms and Jason Sudeikis with Jason Bateman and
That guy with the
Will Forte.
Mumford and Sons?
Yeah.
Like Mumford
so-
Fizzette? See?
Correct.
See what I did there?
Mumford, yeah.
Mumford Fizzette?
There's a reference from
Thank
84. That's going to make you younger.
Thank you.
He's referring to the T-shirt that,
Oh my
that Eddie Murphy wore in Beverly Hills Cop.
I almost did a spit take, dude.
it's on DVD.
Lee, you're
Oh
killing
yeah,
me.
Mumford and Sons. That really new act is just like the T-shirt that Eddie Murphy wore in
Based on the
1984.
movie by Lawrence Kasdan.
Oh my God.
How often does the plane go over?
So often you won't notice.
All right, listen.
Feel free to have some cookies. So there you go.
That's awesome. That's a good treat.
Sure, certainly.
That's right. We were 2 movies into our 4-movie weekend.
Oh shit.
So my guess is there's probably no stripping in our next film. The next in what is looking to be the John Hughes trilogy of Disney animated films. We've had Cars. I'm looking forward to Trains. But opening today is Disney's Planes.
I swear we just saw this.
All right, let's get to it. Hot off Disney's meeting with Pixar, in which Pixar showed no interest in making this movie, comes Planes, the not-at-all sequel to Cars that could be the first movie ever to make a company file a copyright infringement lawsuit against itself.
A movie very much meant to be confused with the movie Cars. This was one of the year's only movies to be adapted from a misunderstanding. The trailer will leave you thinking, didn't we already see this movie? And then you'll think, yes, I did, and I loved it. Let's see it again. Well done, marketing team.
McQueen finds himself detoured in the sleepy town of Radiator Springs, and he's forced to repair a section of the road he damaged. And
Paul,
yes.
Paul, you're telling the plot to the movie Cars again.
I'm sorry. That happens every time I talk about this. All right.
This is Planes.
Planes, of course. Thank you. Now, modes of transportation once again speak and acquire some of mankind's other favorite attributes, like jealousy and inadequacy, as an outdated crop duster tries to fit in with the cool planes that get to drop bombs on people.
The crop duster, which I'm sure has a name, we'll just call him Planey. Like all children's movies with a third act problem, Planey wants to compete in a plane race because all that matters is winning, kids.
With the help of Doc Hudson, who shelters a secret past as the one and only Hudson Hornet, voiced by Paul Newman. Sorry, planes, got it, planes.
Planes.
The only problem is that Planey has a fear of heights. So he meets up with some other colorful aviating characters, one of which I can only assume is a redneck. And they teach him to overcome his fears so that he can live his dream of one day crashing into the grandstand at an air show.
The not-so-subliminal previews of the film actually feature the title logo from the Cars movie as much as the title logo from Planes. Well done again, marketing team.
Pretty clever.
Tired of hating Dane Cook's stand-up comedy? Well, here's a whole new reason to not like him. His annoying voice.
Ooh, you want to see an impersonation of a successful Hollywood idea man? How about boats? I'll be in Cabo if you need me.
There you go.
Thank you.
Pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
Thank you. I'll be in Cabo.
Trains.
Trains.
I'm in Italy if you need me.
Wow. This is not Pixar, is what we're saying. Is that what we're saying?
No, everything looks just like Cars, but it's not Pixar.
But it's not Pixar, and I think that will be noted in the story. Now, I haven't seen, of course, the preview as ever, but I can't get as excited unless I see the word Pixar in the title.
But do you know the plethora of people who do not know what is so special about Pixar or give a shit and just are seeing Cars 3? I mean, nobody cares.
All the people.
This room cares.
With kids that don't care. They just want
to. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Pixar should be offended because if they don't pull this off right, then it's just like, Pixar keeps making these bad movies.
Well, one of the things Pixar has is legs, so that'll be an immediate determination. You know, Brave was number one like 3 weeks in a row or something like that. So if Planes is killed by Werther Miller's first week.
Adam's right, though. It's
done.
the thing that is indescribable about the Pixar movies, the thing that you can't just go, oh, we're going to make it look exactly the same.
Yeah, you
as
can't
Heart.
tell what the difference is.
It's the story. It's the
It's old ladies pinching babies. It's
yes.
You can't tell by the trailer, but you can tell when you start
you can
watching
tell when you start watching
right away.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but Disney Animation 3D animation did come around a little bit last year with Wreck-It Ralph, which is a great movie.
That was really good.
And as
that
much
was
as I love
Disney.
Pixar, we probably should have won the Oscar for Best Animated Film.
Isn't John Lasseter running? Isn't one of those Pixar guys running
Yes,
the
which is
animation
probably
division?
why a movie like Bolt started out under Disney's banner, but was finished under Pixar.
That was great.
Came out great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even
I wonder
like
if that
that
started out kind of,
lead girl.
but
She
then
was
Lasseter turned
great.
around to be this big emotional film.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which,
but he's the head of regular animation.
he's the head of
Disney,
all
right?
animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the things about Pixar being taken in to Disney in a merger, was that we come in, but Steve Jobs is going to be the biggest shareholder, and John Lasseter is going to be your head of animation. And they went, okay. Because they just owe everything to Pixar in the last 10 years.
And greatest story I heard about that is right before Lasseter was put into head of animation at Disney, they closed down their ink and paint animation shop.
Yes.
They were done doing regular animation. They were going moving entirely into computer animation. They put Lasseter in charge, and his first thing he did was open back up the hand ink and paint type animation.
You know how many people their kids are so happy now they can go to college?
Classic Disney.
They're like,
Disney
Dad
animation.
still got a job. That's awesome.
Now, but the other question about all these great Pixar movies is that they're very, I think they're very emotional in the story, and they earn the emotions that they have. So will Planes do that or not? But the question I think you brought up in a discussion once, Lee, was, can you cry at these animated movies? When there's really nothing there. It's a big nothing. It's a drawing with voices. It's nothing. There's not a thing happening there, yet you cry.
Bambi didn't exist.
Right.
Bambi.
Just a drawing.
Yes.
I
But
teared
did you
up.
cry?
That was a very old movie from a very long time ago. I know
It's
that might be
about the
throwing
same-
people off.
It
but
was
it's-
before that T-shirt
it was
reference.
illustrated for a plane.
Didn't see it in the theaters.
it's
Lee
an-
is saying.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
over
So
30.
have-
Let the secret out.
Lee, have you seen Up? Because I can.
I have not.
Oh, okay. Because I can barely hear. Like the other day, we were coming back from somewhere, and I went, "Adventure is out there," and I almost tear up.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my god!"
It's a plane. Stop crying.
Well, that movie, I'm not thinking is gonna cry, but
Yeah.
her whole adventure book. Oh my god! And oh,
I cried
what?
when Lightning McQueen pushed the guy across the finish line. Sorry, spoiler alert. Yeah, it was 7 years ago.
He didn't mean to
Spoiler
give-
alert, they released movies several years ago.
He didn't mean to give away the ending to Planes.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, probably how that.
They're going to have some amazing storytelling, just like the Pixar. It can look like anything it wants, but for example, a supermodel can look amazing, but if she opens her mouth up and sounds like an idiot, sometimes she gets less sexy.
You know, the one of the I don't want to give too much away about the hook in this movie, but all the dialogue in the planes is given by characters who impersonate pilots.
I hope so.
So all the dialogue is.
Well, if you look out the
That would be
right side of the window, it's,
They all sound
Canyon.
like pilots. The whole dialogue is just.
they are never excited.
Well,
But
Yeah, but
anything.
when we're flying and it's starting to get all crazy, Paul is not a good flyer. He gets very nervous about
This is true.
turbulence. So if we're starting to have turbulence, you don't want to hear a guy come on and go,
Holy
"All right,
shitbags! Everybody jump! Yeah.
you want the guy going,
Well, we're having.
what the hell's that button do?
Taking oh, we've lost an engine.
Pills
But we
kicked
have
in.
another engine on the other side of the plane. We're just going to take it down here in a field. Everybody.
We're just gonna wait till my Xanax kicks in, and then we're gonna land this sucker.
We have a young crop duster who's trying to be a racing plane, and
Yeah, I'm excited.
right. And they never are.
It's like a golf announcer. Is there a graduation there from airplane
It's the
pilot
same
to
guy.
golf announcer? Anyway,
Oh, last thing I want to announce that doing a voice in this film is Carlos, and I'm going to kill this last name, Alazraqui, and he is the voice of the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
oh, good
So
for him.
where we always goof on these movies, we're just pulling out the biggest slate of celebrities you can possibly do. There's a guy who does voiceover for a living, getting a job in a voiceover movie.
All right, well, I'll give him that.
So
Good
I
for
wanted to
them.
show
Hear that, Alec Baldwin?
Yeah. You know, I heard that.
Hear that, Corey Feldman?
hear that
Al-
third voice of Stimpy? He's coming for you.
I heard that Alec Baldwin, when he does those commercials for Capital One, he donates all the money he makes because he doesn't need it. Isn't that
I would
great?
imagine.
That's cool.
All right. Well, last week, well, let's see. Wait, what are we talking about? Oh,
He's-
you know what? There's a ton of stuff coming out this weekend. We're covering it entirely, but let's talk about what's already in theaters, and a little something we like to call.
What did you see? What did you see this week?
All right. Now we all went out to the theaters and we saw the Further Adventures of Logan, aka the Wolverine, and the adaptation of the Chris Claremont Frank Miller comics that tell of Logan's adventures in Japan. And I got to tell you, it was great to see Hiroyuki Sanada back on the big screen again. I mean, I've been a fan since Mahjong Hiroki, you know? I mean, imagine you guys too. I mean, you know, Hisatsu 4, Urami Harayimasu. I mean, those were the Hiroyuki Sanada salad days, if you ask me. So it's good to see him back in a string of films lately.
I mean, what a get, right? I mean, the negotiations to get Sonata had to be brutal. But he's an awesome Shingen, bringing up memories of how awesome he was as Iguchi in The Twilight Samurai, or the hit TV series Hikan Kazoku, where he played Yasusuke Matoba.
Totally.
I totally agree. Unfortunately, I feel like Shinji Ifujaki was underutilized.
Was he?
Yeah.
True.
I mean, he makes a brief appearance as Pockface, which really is kind of a shame because he has so much more to offer as an actor. I mean, take, for example, his work as Joti Mashura Kimura in the acclaimed short film Futility.
Oh.
And Kimmy. You all know Kimmy, right?
Totally.
Kimmy
Absolutely.
played Saki. Very small part, but based on her or his work in One Night in Supermarket. I'll take as much Kimmy as I can get.
Oh, absolutely.
Underused. I agree. But, you know, all's well when you finally get to see Ken Yamamura back in his element, right?
Right.
I mean, getting it done just like he did earlier this year in Double Happiness Uranium. Am I right?
Absolutely. And you probably noticed Rila Fukushima. Remember when she played herself in the TV series Made in Hollywood? Since then, I was hoping for a role that would challenge her more. And man, did she ever find it, busting up the screen in this movie as Yukio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
That's good.
One more film to go to as we continue our public service to the studios, getting the word out about their product. The final film is Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters, which we mentioned earlier. And now I saw Sea of Monsters, I think, for Pearl Jam. Oh, they were great. So this should be good. Now, first, Adam, last time I talked about planes, you heard me. I slipped into cars, the plot, a couple of times.
Yeah.
So just trying to keep me on track here when I describe this. Don't let me slip into plots of Hunger Games, Twilight, or Harry Potter. All right?
All right, I'll keep on.
Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters.
Sigmund, you are a rotten sea monster.
Sigmund, you're through.
Crap! Get out of here.
That's all.
There's
nothing like a day out on the beach when all it does is rain.
Okay. Minotaurs and Cyclops and Fire Beasts, oh my! Stop me if you heard this one before. Based on the best-selling book for teens.
This Friday, the great Motown act Percy Jackson and the Olympians will be releasing their latest single, Sea of Monsters.
Percy does sound like that Jackson brother who never made it.
That would be Tito, Randy, Jermaine, and Marlon. Now, what's the concept of Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters? Well, imagine there's a school for wizards and witches.
Paul.
God damn, I mean Greek gods. Greek gods.
Yes, it's apparently time for classic figures of Greek mythology to take their shot at being depressed in high school. It's like Clash of the Titans for kids.
Clash of the Titans, I thought, already aimed at 5-year-olds.
Well, all right, let's call it Clash of the Titans.
Very nice.
Percy, a version of Perseus, and his friends are demigods, which means they are mortals born of one god and one human, like Paul McCartney and Nancy Chevelle.
Even though they're Greek demigods, they're still children who have to go to a high school, no doubt overcrowded with gloomy vampires, demons, and witches.
Aww.
And I thought it was a pain in the ass having a gym teacher who thought the jocks were gods. I would never get picked first at the school.
In this sequel to The Lightning Thief, which was a movie that happened, according to IMDb, Percy finds himself under attack at Camp Half-Blood, the summer camp for demigods. Monsters are invading because of the death of a sacred tree that protected the camp, so Percy must bring back the Golden Fleece, the same mission of Jason and the Argonauts, if you know your Greek mythology. And according to statistics on education, you don't.
The drama of this movie centers around the Bermuda Triangle. Now, for those of you who didn't grow up in the 70s and don't remember having to get up to change the channel on the TV, the Bermuda Triangle is a mysterious region in the Atlantic Ocean that stretches from the southern coast of Florida down to Cuba and to Puerto Rico and then up to Bermuda. Now, many a CBS movie of the week was made about this perilous and seemingly damned part of the ocean where ships, planes, boats, and box office totals go to disappear.
All right, now this part's confusing. This part. Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters, was directed by world-famous explorer Thor Heyerdahl, who sailed halfway across the Pacific on a man-made raft, so he knows a thing or two about the sea. Wait a second. No, it's Thor Freudenthal. Sorry, Thor Freudenthal. Sorry, Thor Heyerdahl fans. Neither of these people, of course, would be confused with the Asgardian warrior and Marvel superhero whose full name is Thor Schadenstein Lipschitz.
The film stars such household questions as Logan Lerman, Alexandra Daddario, Douglas Smith. But Brandon T. Jackson is not playing Percy Jackson. Logan Lerman is, once again, in the starring role, while Brandon T. plays his sidekick, Grover.
I am special!
I'm not sure how the final battle plays out, but I'm sure it all comes down to a game of Quidditch or something. There you go.
Hey, there's a movie not really
A
made for
freaking
us.
huge weekend full of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're all kind of the same audience.
Way to shoot your wad late, Hollywood.
Yeah.
The first one came out in February, so they got confidence now. We're going to put the second one out in summer. See what happens. The Lightning Thief. I swear it was a movie. You're all staring
We're
at me
all
like
like,
that's
what
not
are
a
you
movie.
talking about?
Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
doesn't sound like a
colon,
thing.
The Lightning Thief.
Yeah, that had one of the longest titles.
It really was.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians?
Yes.
Colon,
The
the
Lightning Thief.
Yeah.
So you think the second one would be Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Sea of Monsters.
Can't imagine why I
The
didn't
Olympians
remember
got
that.
kicked to the curb.
I know.
Yeah.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Like Michael Jackson leaving the Jacksons, Percy has left the Olympians and now is on his own, fighting a sea of monsters.
Sea of Tito's.
I find that I'm not looking forward to a lot of the movies coming out, but I think I know why. It's because I don't read enough teen novels.
Now, if you did, you would be
I
in
would
heaven.
be psyched because I'd go, oh, I get to see it, you know.
You'd have
and
beautiful creatures. You'd have Catching
Yeah.
Fire coming out. You got the Mortal Instruments.
if you
Yeah.
do a teen novel, you can get that greenlit. Apparently.
Teen? horror romance or something like that is now
There's a section.
a
of
section of Barnes and Noble. If Barnes and Noble Kids is a bookstore where they keep binded stories. Anyway,
Have you met some teens lately? They don't seem very literate to me. Have you got a text from anyone
Yeah, how
under
are these-
20
how are
that's
these-
No,
like,
it doesn't.
it's all hieroglyphics and symbols? These kids are reading books? You really? You sure?
The
You
books
sure?
are probably
Hollywood?
written like that too.
Yeah, it's all just JK LOL. It's a whole novel of
we just speak their language.
ampersand and
yeah.
greater than less than
Future
signs.
civilizations we'll have to figure out.
Well, I
Run
hope
it
you
to
enjoy
some-
this movie. We're going to go see We're the Millers, I think. Oh, Elysium first,
Yeah.
probably,
Yes,
before anything
Elysium.
else.
I'm
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can
for
take our
Elysium.
cookies into We're the Millers.
All right, so this is a jam-packed weekend of movies. It's not even a holiday, and look at all we've had to do. But we'll be back to talk to actor, stuntman, writer, producer, multi-hyphenate, David Mattey,
Multi-hyphenate.
right after this.
People always told me, be careful what you do. Don't go around breaking young girls' hearts. And mother always told me, be careful who you love. Be careful what you do.
And we are back with our latest in-studio guest, a guy who's around my age, but somehow has racked up an impressive 44 titles as an actor alone on IMDb. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. It is true.
Wow.
Not to mention his stunt work and behind-the-scenes adventures. You may have seen him often intimidating or engaging in fisticuffs with celebrities and children in movies like The Spy Next Door and Hancock. Please welcome Dave Mattey, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Actually, wait a minute. Before we do that, Dave had a specific intro he wanted based on the Dennis Farina thing we did the other day because he passed away, and then we played this clip.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
There you go. Dave Mattey, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yes. I don't know. I need to get some more acting credits on IMDb because there's now you have the right amount because it's the most of anything you do, and you do a lot of things. I have done a lot of editing to make money, and suddenly I have now as my first batch of credits editing. So if you go to my IMDb, I'm an editor. I'm like, no, I'm an actor. But
Well, I find that offering your body up to casting directors is a good way to go.
You mean as a
basically need to-
stuntman or sexually?
No, stuntman is a different thing entirely. I'm talking purely sexually.
This is good information.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's not.
If you can suppress
for
the
you.
gag reflex, you're in, man.
There's a link from people on IMDb get bored because there's a link from your page. When I went there, who knows if it refreshes and you get new things every time you go. But when I was there was a little thing that said tall guys, and I made a list of all the tall guys in Hollywood. Like that's what somebody did with their day.
That's nice.
By height down.
Yep.
So
I've seen that list.
You're taller
Hollywood's
than,
tallest talents.
how tall are you?
Yeah, I'm 6'10".
And that is taller than a lot of basketball players
Yes.
who are on that list.
Yes.
Below you.
But they're not. They're on the list, but they're not actors. They've played themselves.
Exactly.
Now, are
Space
you
Jam,
offended
whatever.
that you often get cast as a tall guy?
Son of a. No. It's,
Not the table. Not the table.
Yeah, his house and car are offended too.
yeah, exactly. I have. No, that's one of the things. It's like I've heard people complain about being pigeonholed or typecast or whatever, and I don't care at all. What actually bothers me more than any of that is the number of jobs I've lost to little people.
Like
And-
when you're talking about people my height, or you mean actual little people?
Actually, I'm talking about other people who. No, I mean like legitimate little people.
Oh, okay.
I was up for a gig on the Martin Short show, and this came up a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to some friends about it, and they brought me in, and there was a silly German thing, and there were these 3 German scientists, and I did my thing, and they were like, "Wait a second, we got the perfect part for you. Martin's been talking about his assistant for like 6 months, and we haven't revealed him yet. It's this big reveal. We want you to come in and read for this thing." And they gave me some sides and said, "You got 2 minutes, read it, come in." So I did the audition. They were like, "Great, we want to do a callback. We want to see you with a wig on." So I got a wig, and I did all this stuff. I came back and did my job, as well as I could. Felt really good about it. And then I found out later it went to a little person. They completely switched gears.
Damn little people.
And then I was like, "Well, how about the silly German thing?" And they're like, "No, that's shot Monday. It's over." I was like, "Thanks, guys. Thanks." So
Boy, that would bug me. They just went the opposite direction 100%.
yeah, completely. And it was like it was one of 4 times in the same month, I think, that I lost on a gig to a little person.
Now, you say little person. Is that the politically correct term? Can you
Yes.
call it that? Now, what is the thing that supposedly that offends them if you call them midgets? What is the thing that tall people get offended if you call them?
Actually,
Kobe Bryant.
yes, several tall people get offended if you call little people midgets. Actually, because it seems like it's this strange thing where a lot of times I'm on set, and if they have a ridiculously large guy, they have a little person as well. And so when I was on Charmed, I was an ogre, and thank you very much. Thank you. That's a fun little side story if I can.
Go for it.
A friend of mine who's 6'7" and I were both in for the same part, and we read, and the stunt coordinator came out. It was a stunt acting thing. It was both acting and stunts. And the coordinator came out and he said, "Guys, you both did great. They really, really liked you. Jeff, you were fantastic, but they just don't think you're ugly enough to be an ogre." Big Dave.
Congratulations, Dave. Get on over.
You're plenty ugly. Congratulations.
Hey, Dave,
Like,
skip makeup.
sweet.
Just get it set.
And that was the worst part. Is like, okay, you know what that is? That's my prosthetics experience. I've done a ton of prosthetics. That's what it is. And I went on the set when we're shooting this thing, and honest to God, they went like this. All right, you're good. Go ahead.
One pot of makeup and on you go.
Yeah, they touched me with like one powder puff, and that was it. But
doesn't that make you feel dandy?
Yes, exactly. But anyway, so on this thing, it was me, and then they had a bunch of leprechauns and a bunch of little people, and we sat around at one point, and I said, "Let us speak in disparaging tones about the averages." And so we were talking about people of average height, and that was one of the things they said that was like their big one was the M word, and they call it the M word, and
wow.
People don't know that it's that big of a deal, and I think honestly, those who do know are kind of like, "What are they gonna do? They're this big." I mean, come on. So
I would think it'd only make you look bigger to have a smaller actor.
Oh, it does.
That's
Yeah.
smart.
Yep. And then if I'm hungry, I can just be like, "You got some more of those guys?"
Oh, we got tons of them in the bag. We just keep bringing them out as hungry as they are.
They're in a little car, and they come out.
But I would hate to keep you away from the bag of Meet the Miller cookies Karen made during our We're the Millers preview.
I had 47 of them. When I was sitting
I
there,
kept
so-
grabbing them, and then they would disappear
I
from
don't
the
know
table
why.
where I set them next to me. They just kept going away. Now, a few weeks ago, we had a talk with Lloyd Kaufman. We invaded Comic. You ever been to Comic-Con?
I have indeed. I actually
Work or fun?
It was both.
Both? Well, work is fun. In
Work
this
is fun.
business. You kidding me?
It was super cool because I was doing a thing for the Guild, the web series, The Guild.
With Felicia Day.
Felicia Day. Yep. We did a music video, and I played real life in it, and fought Sandeep, who's the Indian guy in the show, and they had me come down to Comic-Con, and we did some stuff, and for a couple different panels, I was able to sort of go past the line and tried really hard not to be like, "So long, suckers. How long you guys been waiting? 3 days. That sucks." I'll be up front.
I'm just going to go hang with my friend Felicia Day. I don't think any of you would want to do that. Would you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I made it to a guild panel once. Yeah, I didn't see it, but they're there every year. I imagine.
Yeah. But they're, it was a lot of fun. At one point, we were walking the floor, and there were so many people. We literally had gridlock on the floor. And we stopped moving, and we couldn't go anywhere. And if I wasn't as tall as I am, I probably would have started to panic because I don't get claustrophobic. But man, it was so freaky to not be able to move, to be standing still and not be able to go any direction. And over to my left was the Chuck booth, and the stars of Chuck were out signing autographs. And I had worked on Chuck a week before, so I'm stuck standing there. And I look over, and Zach Levi is there, and he's signing, and he looks up, and he goes back down, and looks back up at me. And he's about 6'5", so the two of us were looking over everybody. And he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "How you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, hey." Then went back to signing, and about 100,000 people went, "Who's he looking at?" I was kind of like, "Oh God, I can't run if I wanted to." That's when I started to panic.
I wouldn't want to be the guy next to you when you start to get frustrated that it's
Can't
handle the claustrophobia. Yeah, there you go.
So we were
taller
talking-
than you, by the way. Taller, according to the IMDb chart. Taller than you. Andre the Giant.
That's actually not true. He's actually, in real life, he was listed as 7'4".
He's actually dead.
In the wrestling.
I know that.
Yes, right now,
Now
he's
he's
negative
like,
6 feet.
about a foot. Hey, good day, little bit.
No, we don't want to forget, though, that we had talked to Lloyd, and you have a connection with Lloyd Kaufman.
Yes, I do.
How did that happen?
Because we met Toxie in the booth, and he wasn't you.
That's true.
He wasn't anybody. Of course, he was Toxie.
Fake
He
Toxie.
wasn't-
He was
There
Toxie.
wasn't a fake Toxie at all.
Yes, that's true. I actually was the Toxic Avengers roommate officially.
Friend of Toxie?
Yes, for the time that we were shooting Citizen Toxie, the Toxic Avenger Part 4. I was the Toxic Avengers roommate. The official word from Trauma. I was the roommate.
Oh, like the friend
Friend
of
of
Mickey.
Mickey.
Yes. So I was the Toxic Avenger and his evil twin, the Noxious Offender, in the classic Trauma cult film, Citizen Toxie, the Toxic Avenger Part 4.
That is cool, dude.
Thank you.
That is
Thank
the
you.
best.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
I mean, you were
The
dressed
sweating
up
is
as the
because of
Toxic
it.
Avenger.
I was.
That's just,
That's pretty
and
cool.
played him in a movie. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I
all
was
they
in-
did was
A little blot of makeup.
Exactly.
And on you go.
Just kind of like let the eye droop a little on this side. Yeah. Actually, that was the most grueling set I've been on, because the stuff that Lloyd was talking about, eating cheese sandwiches 3 times a day and crapping in a paper bag, that's all true. And I got a little bit special treatment because I was like the 1 and 2 main character in the movie. But the crew that worked on it, they ate day-old bagels every day. They got an arrangement. The production got an arrangement with some bagel shop nearby, and as they were throwing out their bagels in a big green garbage bag, the production was like, yoink! And every day they'd go and they'd get a new trash bag full of bagels. And these poor kids were just, okay. And they had this one big thing of peanut butter, and they were putting it on their bagels. And the one time they brought food in, the locations manager ordered it, and people were like, we're getting a hot lunch, and you would have thought it was Christmas. And it's like, and not only is it Christmas, everyone's getting laid. It was this huge thing. And people are lining up, and everyone's so happy, and morale shot from 5 to 150 on a scale of 0 to 100. And people started going through the line, and the first person went through the line, and they sat down, and they were so excited, and they dug into their chicken parm that they had chicken parm. And it turns out the locations manager was a vegetarian. And he had ordered everything vegetarian, and he had ordered eggplant parm. And you have never seen a crew. If you had gone, you know what? We were going to feed you guys a hot meal, but screw it, we're not. They would have been like, oh, man, that kind of sucks. But it went from
dangling the carrot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And people were so pissed. And that was probably the worst moment on set. And it was just because it was like, we're getting actual protein for a change. Nope. No, you're not. Enjoy your eggplant.
I can respect that because I did a musical, and the first day of rehearsal, they were very proud to tell us that they had provided lunch. And when you give lunch to an actor, oh my God.
Yeah.
So they had put up together this really nice area where they put out chairs and tablecloths and flowers. It was kind of nirvana and crazy awesome. So they had all these chicken meals for us. It was vegetarian. It was vegan. It was past vegetarian. It was vegan. And they fed us every day. So we all ate the first couple of days. And then we started sneaking away to McDonald's. And that's where I met Adam Pascal from Rent, because he was over at McDonald's, and we all kind of were hiding out together.
Nice.
That's not, you can't say food and then do that.
No, we worked for a Disney Cruise Line. I don't know if I told the story in the air, but when we ate in the crew mess, you'd go there one day and you'd eat chicken. Yay! Then you'd go there the next day and you'd eat barbecue chicken. Okay. Then the next day you'd eat barbecue chicken curry. And this is the same damn chicken.
Oh, man.
And that's not 40 years of independent filmmaking like Lloyd.
right.
That's
That's
Disney.
right. That's
And you
Disney.
still get what you get because it's a cruise line,
Yep.
The food travels down and you're,
Yeah,
and you're on the bottom.
So we were able to interview Lloyd because he's super cool and accessible, and I called him just out of the nowhere, and he was super nice to me. What is it like for him to give you direction? What is that like?
What do they have script-wise when they start?
Well, that was one of the things. I saw the interview you guys did with him, and one of the moments that I laughed out loud was when he said they're working on the script and they haven't quite gotten it, good enough yet. And I absolutely cracked up because when we started shooting Citizen Toxie, the script was one version and it changed every single day, usually at least twice a day. And what we ended up with was nothing like what we started with. And so my thought was, when he said that on your interview, I was like, you don't need a script. Come on. You need a rough outline.
True independence.
Exactly.
Roma.
Independent of scripts.
Yes, he's crazy.
Now there's a great documentary. I think it's called All the Love You Can. Have you seen that? CANN.
I haven't seen that one yet.
And it's about trauma in the Cannes Film Festival and how they advertise their movies by staging, I don't know, massacres in the street and just whatever they can do to get a camera on them.
They called it this year, I think, Occupy Can.
Okay. Yeah, and did you do any promotions with them on any of these crazy things they're going to do?
No, the one thing that I was scheduled to do was the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade because we had finished shooting. We shot in late September and October, and we came out here and shot a day at the Playboy Mansion, which was pretty fun.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do for your art. You know what I mean? And then shortly thereafter, that was the beginning of November, and then the Thanksgiving parade was right around the corner. So they said, "Hey, we're going to be in the Macy's parade. Do you want to be in it?" And I was like, "Sure, that'd be great."
Why not?
So exactly, it's an icon. It's an American icon thing. And I was in the office for something, and they handed me this envelope, and they were like, "Oh, here's the information for the parade," and it was sealed. It was like a sealed envelope from Macy's, and I was like, "Wow, that's fancy." And I opened it up, and it was all the instructions for the company, like your performer you need to bring your performer here, you need to do this, you need to do this, and everything else. And I was like, "Wait a minute! If you guys are giving me this, it means you haven't looked at it, and it means that what you just want me to show up at the beginning of the parade and then what? Walk the 5-mile route by myself?"
Nobody tried to tie any ropes to you, did they? Okay.
And then a bunch of small people are holding the ropes.
That's right, yeah.
This guy's not floating. I don't know.
Jump higher. Jump higher.
No,
Yeah, so.
I want to play a little game. And you can answer last. But do you guys know, Lee, Karen, Adam, your degrees from Kevin Bacon?
Oh, no.
I don't even
My
know
own
if I have
degree?
any.
I don't think.
Oh, I don't.
I appeared in a
I never thought of it.
movie called Project Viper on Sci-Fi Channel with
Then mine are going to be right through you.
Teresa Russell.
Right. That's right.
So one more than what I
than you.
got. With Teresa Russell, and I appeared in the movie, like I was going to say, I was in a movie with her.
Does that Blaine come over often?
Yeah.
So often you won't notice.
Every time our new bit, I feel a bit coming up.
Awesome. I like it.
And then she was in Wild Things with Kevin Bacon. So that's what I got.
that's awesome.
Me to Teresa Russell to Kevin Bacon. So what is that? Is that one?
That's a 2.
That's a 2.
Yep.
So it's 2 people, including Kevin Bacon.
That means we'd like to clock in at 3.
But I might have either he's got to know Tom Berenger and or Sybil Shepherd. Those would be my 2 biggest high-profile people. So figure out how he knows them, and then that's me.
Okay. Kevin Bacon.
Actually, if you go on IMDb Pro, your Bacon number is actually listed.
What?
It really is. It really
Holy
is.
crap.
I love checking into IMDb for myself and seeing how I'm trending. Like I'm down 20% from last week. How the hell did that happen?
You know what? I pulled up the dictionary.com app, and it has trending words. Now, I don't want to get into
It's a new
it.
thing, yeah.
But anyway.
How
new
is the
thing.
doing? Is the doing all right?
The is down. The is down.
Yeah.
Bad week for modifiers.
Are we getting research on my? Oh, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
Dave's Bacon number?
0.5.
What?
He stole his wallet.
That's right. Exactly. That actually
Been running around as Kevin Bacon throughout Europe for the last 3 years.
that's actually where it comes from.
That's so awesome.
In the summer blockbuster R.I.P.D., which I haven't checked, but it's cleaning up, right? It's beating.
Oh,
everything.
yeah. You'll be back for the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, somebody has to.
With my friend Ryan Reynolds. By the way, nice chatter about him, guys.
We love
Good
him.
job.
I didn't say a word.
Have you heard something?
You didn't defend him, did you? Did you? Did you? No, you didn't.
These crazies.
I've always found him
I
charming
used to look like him.
and engaging.
He is. He is both of those.
No, you did work with Ryan Reynolds on R.I.P.D. Now, what did you play in R.I.P.D.?
And Kevin Bacon. So there
and
you go,
Kevin
right?
Bacon. I was
Oh, yes.
several of the bad guys. If people have seen the movie, most notably, I was the giant fat one. Shocker. No. It's the magic of Hollywood.
But you had, they had a choice. They still made you the judge.
I was actually in a fat suit. That's how fat I was.
So was it
They
special
originally
effects?
cast a little person.
Practical?
That's right. Yeah, they talked about trading me out. Yeah. Actually, no. It was CG. So I was wearing a fat suit, and then over it, I had a motion capture suit, so a gray suit with all the markers on it, and I did some running around and trying to not get hit by cars.
So
Okay,
you took his
so
wallet.
also in this movie, and really, I don't want to explain why because it might spoil it for some of the viewers who are going to go see the movie sometime. Okay. You find out, well, actually, it's not that much of a spoiler because you find out fairly early on that Kevin Bacon is the bad guy. So they don't show it in the ads, but
Well, for the record, he was a great bad guy in X-Men First
Oh,
Class.
Sure,
he-
yes,
he's
he
so
was.
good in that.
He's good
was.
at that kind of thing.
that's true. And so at one point, something happens to him, and he literally becomes me. And so we came out and we were doing this stunt with Stephanie, who plays Ryan Reynolds' wife in the role or in the movie, and sadly, due to some of the way the movie evolved, that's kind of all she is. It's really like, there's the wife. The end. But anyway, she was a sweetheart. She was fun to work with, and we're doing this whole stunt sequence where she gets pulled upside down in the air and everything else. And so Kevin is wearing these rock star like mid '80s Gene Simmons boots.
Awesome.
And his mocap suit, and he's got the spindliest little legs you've ever seen. But anyway, and so we were, I walked out on set and to be him, and I said, "Say, what does this do for my bacon number?" Because not only am I in the same movie with you, I mean, when you're in the movie with him,
But you're the
your
same
bacon number
person,
becomes
right?
1. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm playing the same character.
That's so cool.
And he goes, "Well, I guess it'd be 0, right?" And I was like, "Well, no, because that's just you. I mean, I can't be you." And he goes, "I'm going to say it's 0.5. And I was like, "Okay, I'll take that." And he goes, "But I'm not the authority on it. I didn't make it up or anything." And he's like trying to backpedal. I was like, "No, that's cool. I'll take it. I'll take 0.5. It's cool."
I love that he was so welcoming of the dialogue. Like he, he has this question put to him all the time. So what's my bacon number, Kevin?
Now that I'm meeting you,
I'm shaking your hand. Where am I
that's
now?
one.
That's
Well,
right. Yeah.
but that's almost like he assigned you your number. It's
He
like
did.
you can imagine a world where Kevin Bacon assigned everybody their number. Like, I got to go see Kevin Bacon today to get my number.
Yeah, right.
I hope 6 is still available.
I think the corollary to that, though, is that some nerd in his mother's basement somewhere is like, "Damn it, I'm the one who assigns the numbers." And he's like pissed off about it. Yeah, that's right.
Usurped.
Exactly.
So his David Mattey number is 0.5.
0.5, that's
oh,
right.
that's so
Oh,
cool.
that's Kevin
right.
Bacon's got a high David Mattey number.
Yes.
That's really
He
Now,
doesn't
is that
care
reflected
about
on
that.
IMDb Pro? The point
No,
five?
not yet. No, unfortunately.
I would lobby for that hard and soon.
I am going to. The IMDb is actually kind of crappy about that when it comes to stunts, because if you work stunts, they don't really count it as working on a movie. I don't know why, but
Dude, you get paid.
That's
and
right.
you get your insurance eventually, right?
Absolutely. I got my-
count it.
Casting and
I got my
stunts, the
paycheck.
next Oscars they should have, in my opinion.
That's true.
thank you. I agree.
Yeah.
I do agree.
But
with
they
that.
have it in the SAG Awards, so they're getting it right.
Yeah,
Everyone else will follow suit soon enough.
Yep.
Speaking of stunts,
Okay.
you did stunts, and this should excite Adam. Adam, are you looking up your IMDb Pro
Yes.
number?
Yes.
Your Kevin Bacon number? You have to have
Where
IMDb
is
Pro.
it? Oh, I don't know. Okay, no wonder.
But I wanted to talk
I'm only in
Thor.
one movie.
I want to talk Thor because Adam's a huge
Yes. Who are you in
superhero
Thor?
nerd.
I am actually. You don't see me on screen. Because
Even as a
I'm in a lot
CGI
of those
character or
movies.
whatever?
Are you a
Yes.
frost
Part we
giant?
play.
Frost giant. That's my guess.
I get cast as that guy all the time.
I was actually brought in to be a frost giant originally.
Sweet.
I was there for the first day of stunt rehearsals. It was actually really kind of funny because my wife and I had just gotten back from a vacation, and we talked about getting a puppy, and I was like, well, I got nothing on the horizon right now. Now's a good time to get a puppy. I got the time to spend with it. So we go, we do some research during the week, and on Friday we go and we pick up our new puppy. And Friday we come home with the puppy, and 30 seconds later my phone rings. And it's the assistant to the coordinator of this thing. And she says, "Hey, can you come in for a fight rehearsal tomorrow?" I was like, "Sure." So I went in, and we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what we were doing, where we were doing, anything. And that began almost 5 months of work on Thor.
Wow.
Oh. Did the puppy learn to get potty trained?
Yes, but it became entirely my wife's job.
Yeah.
And
And the puppy now loves your mommy, or your mommy. It's mommy, which is your wife.
no, she loves me more.
Why? How'd that happen?
Because I would come home, and every day she'd be like, "You're home, thanks." And
Because he withheld love.
that's right.
That's how it
and
works.
yeah, and
Oh, your poor wife.
well, and she's the dog is giant. She's 100 pounds, so we wrestle.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do
So
you have a picture on your phone?
I
I
do.
think we're all missing the big
But my phone's
picture
way
here.
over
Oh, all right.
Thor.
After I'll look at that.
Sorry.
Karen, stop usurping the doggy guys show.
Hollywood extravagance. He worked for 5
Yes.
months and he's not in the movie.
Right. This is true. The full name is Thor Shadenstein Lipschitz, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
And,
I think that's correct. Yes, that's right.
Excellent. And well, what happened was I was doing fight rehearsal, and there were a bunch of us who were in as frost giants, and we had this whole massive fight scene that we were working on, and we did it for months and months and months, and there were several different sequences of fights we were working on. And actually, prior to that, I had read for Volstagg.
Is that the Ray?
Yeah.
What's his name? Firestone? No,
Yeah.
that's the sports guy. Ray Winstone. No.
Maybe.
Ray
That might have been
Bradbury. What the hell's his name? He was the Punisher. That guy?
Yeah. That
Yeah.
guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ray Stevenson.
Ray
Thank you,
Stevenson.
Thank
Jamie
you.
Clark
Good.
Yelvington.
Wow, that was good.
That was my head.
Nice, excellent. And then while we were doing the fights, they called me in to read for a couple different Shield agents and that kind of stuff. And when the whole Frost Giant thing was getting ready to shoot, they were like, "Okay, Dave, we're going to use you separately. We're going to use you for this other fight." And I said, "Great." So we rehearsed this other fight sequence, and it was this whole thing in the tube that was the set that was built around the hammer where it was stuck in the ground, and we did a bunch of great stunt things and a couple different fight sequences, and it was a lot of fun. And then they said, "Okay, we're going to be shooting on it in a couple weeks." So I went away, and a couple weeks later, somebody called me up and said, "Hey, you got a fitting on Monday?" Went to the fitting on Monday. They said, I went home. They called me again. They said, "We need you again on Friday." I said, "Okay." Went in on Friday for another fitting. Came back from the fitting.
What did they dress you up as?
A Shield agent.
Okay.
Let's just be honest. Does it sometimes take 2 fittings anyway?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
A tall man.
Especially when there's numbers written down.
Yeah.
Because invariably somebody picks it up and goes, "Wait, that can't be right."
Get him back here on Friday.
They must mean 5'10".
That can't be right.
Yeah.
62? No.
That's not right, no. So the night before I was supposed to shoot, the stunt coordinator called me and he said, I wanted to call you personally, and I'm just really sorry, but they want to have your part be an African American. And I was like, okay.
Dude, you could play African American.
That's what I thought.
Right?
You're talking about that main Shield guy fight?
Yeah,
that dude ended up. That was a big fight. Oh, it
that was a big
shame,
fight,
man.
and actually the actual fight was about 3 times longer, and
wow.
they cut it. And it was my friend Jamal who ended up doing it, but still you're like, okay, I'm finally getting to be on camera this week. Here we go. We're gonna do this awesome fight in the rain and everything else, and it was kind of like,
dude, you would have fought Thor.
Yep. But I mean, we still did that in the rehearsals and everything else, and got to play with Chris, and he was cool. And
Here's something kind of cool that I learned from Adam Pascal is whenever you have a certain part and you rehearse it, and then for some reason they just take a couple lines away, or they say, okay, we're just going to cut that, you get a pay raise. Because you are getting paid, you're being paid the same for less work.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay,
he puts the positive spin on it.
He's like,
That's good.
Upgrade.
But you were getting paid for the
Oh, yeah,
rehearsal.
yeah. Yeah.
That's a day rate or whatever.
Yeah,
it works
definitely.
out.
Yeah,
Dude, that's the perfect thing, because if someone says, how was the fight? And you'd be like, I was awesome.
Yeah.
They have no idea. You'd be like, I was great.
I didn't screw up anything.
Exactly.
Hey, totally could have lied to us.
Well-
I was the thing. I was the destructor thing.
That's
the metal
right.
that came in.
I was blue, and you didn't.
All the motion capture, you could have told us you were the black guy.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
we
true.
wouldn't have known he was an actual actor named Jamal.
Yeah, that's right.
Now here's a question: did they really need to put motion capture suits on a guy who's 6'10"?
I wanted
Can't
to
you
ask
just put it on a guy who's 5 foot whatever and make him huge?
Shut up.
I might want to stop.
Don't tell them.
Yeah.
I was going to ask the same.
Absolutely not.
Don't
No,
tell
that never
Hollywood.
works. It never works. It always looks wrong.
Oh, you're right. It will look fakey. Never mind.
They don't generally get the mass right when they do that. Yes.
Okay, so I think we should get time for one more story because you told me you had a story. I haven't heard it, so it's be exciting. That involves Lee's shirt there, right?
Yes, indeed. It's
We love the dude.
Oh no, not the dude, just Lee's shirt.
Okay.
I was rubbing it on myself earlier.
Did you know?
Comfortable?
Surprise! First time in prison. No, so
You played that guy before, I can tell.
Yeah,
I have
a little too close to home.
That was,
What movie did you play that guy in?
oh my god, the list is too long.
Hancock.
I was Hancock for one. I was actually, when I was living in New York, real quick on this one. I booked a job. I was doing soaps, a lot of soap stuff in New York.
Of course you were.
Yeah, and so I booked this gig, and I called my parents, and I was like, "Hey, I got this thing on that thing on Young and Restless," and my dad answered the phone, and I have 3 engineering degrees, so my
You
dad
drive trains?
Yes, I could drive the choo-choo. And so my dad goes, "Oh, let me guess, you're an engineer," and I was like, No, Dad, I'm not. And he goes, "I know, you're a particle physicist." I'm like, "No, Dad, I'm not." And he goes, "You're a surgeon." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And there's this long pause, and he goes, "You're in prison again, aren't you?" Yes. And I was literally playing a guy's worst nightmare. But anyway, I was. He was in court, like, thinking about his future, and it was with him coming to prison and meeting me, so it was fun. But anyway, the dude, R.I.P.D. There's a sequence that involves an elevator that is incredibly fast in the movie. We spent a day on top of the elevator shooting it, so it's amazing how quick things go by. But in this sequence, the gag is that my monster has jumped down an elevator shaft, knocked a door into the elevator shaft, which punches a hole in the top of an elevator. Ryan Reynolds comes into the building, sees the elevator, runs into it, looks up, and shoots the brake system, so the elevator goes shooting up through the elevator shaft. Up through the elevator shaft. Doesn't really happen that way. Okay.
Sounds unsafe. I'm sure there's laws.
It does if you're Ryan Reynolds.
That's right. Willing suspension of disbelief. Anyway, so he's shooting upwards, and my character lands on top of the elevator, and I have this metal aluminum case in my hand, and we're fighting for it. And as the elevator goes past where I jumped in, Jeff Bridges jumps on top of me.
Cool.
And eventually the thing pops through the roof of the building, and I go flying and then run away and almost get hit by cars and fun stuff like that. So we're shooting this whole bit on the elevator, and the way the elevator set is built, it's on a green screen, and there's a giant bar mounted on the side of it, and then there are these two big motors that just vibrate the whole elevator, and it's a real elevator, and they've really punched a hole in the top, and it's a big dirty thing. It's like they took an elevator from somewhere, and nothing clean about it, and everything else. So if you're on top of the thing, there's really no good place to be because there's a giant hole in the middle of it.
Oh, right.
And there's motors that operate the door, and there's things that hold cables and all this other crap. And so when you're on top of it, if you lean the wrong way, you fall about 10 feet through the middle of it to the floor of the elevator. If you lean the wrong way the other way, you fall off the edge of it.
Oh, it sounds so safe.
And you fall about 15 feet and land on the concrete floor. So either way is a bad option.
Did anyone think about bringing a gym mat?
It had to be green.
One of those ones you used to tumble on in the 6th grade?
They would let this thick.
I blame Ryan Reynolds for blowing a hole in the top of that elevator.
Actually, it was my character who made the hole. But
okay.
So we're shooting this thing, and I'm laying on top of the elevator. It's incredibly uncomfortable. And there's a part where it's just me. There's a part where it's me and Jeff's character, Roy. And the first part of it, Jeff's stunt double, who's an old friend of mine, Vince Dedrick Jr., he's up there with me, and he is doing a really good job of looking like he's leaning on me, but not really because he's a stunt guy, and so he's supporting his own weight, but he looks like he's leaning on me. And I'm kind of bridging this gap, and the whole thing is shaking, and we're doing this whole thing. And after a couple of takes, Vince goes, "Oh, jeez. Oh, boy." And I'm like, "What's the matter?" And he goes, "I'm really sorry, dude. This is like gurgling stuff loose in me because I got a fart." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, it's okay. We're old friends." I was like, "Just go ahead." And so he was like, I'm like, "All right, good." Vince, geez, come on.
He didn't say multiples.
Right. So then after a while, he leaves to get Jeff ready, and they do my bit solo. And then Jeff comes up, and he lands on top of me.
Oh, no.
And his version is completely different. His version is like, "Catch me."
Oh, no.
So he just sort of plops on top of me. And I'm almost positive he had just finished an onion sandwich before he came up. Because he was like red onion, like right there. And his face was about here. So we're very close to each other. And we start shooting for a little while, and he starts giggling. Like a little kid, like and I'm like, "Well, you all right, Jeff?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he starts giggling again. And right about that time, they realize that he's not wearing his holster. So he has to put his holster on. Well, he's got a jacket that he has to take off to put his holster on, and there's no safe place for him to do it on top of this elevator.
Oh, no.
And it's a kind of a big issue to get him down to do it. So he's trying to figure out where to go, and I'm kind of holding him in place, and he starts giggling again. And he goes, "Big Dad, can I sit here?" And he pats my ass. And I'm like, yeah, sure, Jeff, go ahead, whatever you got to do. And so he swings the leg over me, giggling the whole time. And takes his jacket off and he puts his holster on. He puts his jacket back on, giggling the whole time. And he goes, hey, I got a fart. And I'm like, just go ahead, let her rip. And so he's sitting on me like I'm a horse, sitting on my ass, and he lets one rip, and giggling the whole time. And so then we go. Then after a little while, we break for lunch, and I'm like, this is good. I had an Oscar winner fart on me.
Yeah. Nice.
And we go to lunch, and I go through the lunch line, and I turn around, and I'm looking for a place to sit. And Jeff is sitting at the end of a table, and across from him is his daughter, who's his assistant. And to her left is Vince, his stunt double, and there's an empty seat here. And Jeff is turned around 180 degrees in his seat, looking back at the lunch line. And as I come through the line, he's like, Big Dave, come here. And he calls me over and he pats the seat. He says, come on, sit down. And so I sit down and we're eating lunch, and he's like, I got to tell you guys, there's something with that shaking, that vibration, because it knocked something loose. And I had the worst gas, and I had to fart, and I farted on Big Dave. And Vince goes, so did I. And I was like, well, I got to tell you, Vince, when you went down the ladder getting Jeff ready, and I was up there all by myself, I let one rip. Would have vibrated the whole studio. We better check the green screen paint to make sure it's not coming off the walls after mine. So I got farted on
I
by
have
an
to
Oscar
commend
winner.
you on that because I know
farted
people that
on
don't
by
like
Jeff
it when you
Bridges.
fart on their sofa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Farting on you.
Well, at this point, you're wearing a mocap. You're wearing a fat suit covered by a mocap suit, and you're sweaty and trying to hang on to the top of an elevator. It's kind of.
But I can never have as much respect for any other celebrity encounter because Jeff Bridges farted on you.
Yeah.
That's just great.
In a movie called
pretty awesome.
Ripped.
Right.
And with that.
All right.
Oh my God, that's so.
So, all right, let me mention a couple of things. Then we got to get to birthdays here real quick. But you got a new project coming up called Strange Nature?
Yes, it's an eco-horror film. My friend Jim Ojala, who actually Jim and I met on Citizen Toxie, the Toxic Avenger Part 4, many years ago.
Building
years ago.
industry relationships.
Exactly.
Trauma.
Trauma.
Poor Jim had to crawl under my armpit every day and do makeup in my armpit and then remove it at the end of a long 18-hour stinky, sweaty day. But anyway, Jim is an independent filmmaker, makeup effects artist, and he's doing this film, and it's actually about real-life frog deformities that are occurring in Minnesota. And they found these populations of frogs where up to 70% of the population has these incredible deformities, 3-4 legs and a bunch of eyes and all kinds of creepy stuff. Wow. And they did a bunch of news about it, and then it disappeared from the news. And the problem has continued, and it's continued to spread. And so this movie is actually looking at what if it were to continue to spread to and start to go to other species and maybe even humans. And it's a really cool concept. The script is great.
I think you got
what's it called?
One day on Kickstarter left before, and they're trying to fund the thing.
Yeah, they've got a secondary thing that's coming up as well. So,
okay. So Strange Nature.
Strange Nature on
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. Yep.
Yeah.
And the aforementioned Carlos Alazraqui is actually signed to be on it as well.
Oh, yes.
So.
The Taco Bell guy.
That's right.
All right. And if you want to see some of Dave's best prison work, check out Hancock. Because we haven't had enough stories about his ass. We'll spare you that one, except that Hancock says, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to take that guy and shove him up your ass.
That's right.
And then he does.
And then he does. And that's always a fun one trying to explain it to people because for some reason people can't remember me in the movie. And I'm like, I shot the lead female with a shotgun, and they're like, no, I don't remember that. And I'm like, I'm the tallest guy in the movie by like a lot. And they're like, no idea. And I was like, I was in the prison scene. No. I got a head shoved up my ass. Oh, yeah, you're that guy.
I totally remember this guy now.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Totally.
Yes.
And, of course, check out the Steam Room, which you can see where?
On iTunes.
I think we're watching it right now.
That's right. This is
it's a little hot in here. It's August. Oh, yeah, come on.
Yeah, it can't help it. Steam Room is on iTunes and all kinds of. It's on Amazon Prime, and you can get it.
We have
rent
Prime.
it or see it on Amazon, or you can.
And that's a Don Flaherty film.
Yep, Don Flaherty, and I'm actually we're in post on his next film called Brutal, which is completely different than the Steam Room. It's a sci-fi mixed martial arts thing with a couple guys beating the shit.
But the Steam Room, yeah, like you say, is you as an actor.
Yes, and it's one of the few times I actually get to play a nice guy, which is cool. Not a monster.
You are a nice
villain.
guy, so it
Well,
must have
thank
been
you.
easy to play.
Thanks. You're just saying that because you were bashing on my friend Ryan Reynolds. Jackass.
Oh, just me
Ryan Reynolds
and
is the
Earth.
greatest actor ever.
He's awesome.
That's just. All right, so
He's a
let's,
fine human being, though. I will say that.
Let's have you stick
I'm
around,
sure
Dave,
he
and
is.
join us here as we turn things over to Karen as we celebrate those who celebrate birthdays in the movies.
All right. So, starting off our birthdays this week is Howard Stern's sidekick, Robin Quivers, who turned 60 but can play anywhere from a 36 double D to a 34 G. Robin Quivers has often been referred to as the ultimate good sport as she laughs and plays along with her co-host and a room full of male comedians. God, how did she do it? In her 30-plus years of the show, she has seen more naked breasts than most porn directors have seen in their whole careers. Lately, Robin has been rumored to be fighting cancer, having a grapefruit-sized tumor removed from her bladder. But that has not kept her from the show. An ISDN line was installed in her apartment, and she does the show remotely. I only wonder if they send over naked ladies to make her feel more comfortable. So that is our first birthday is Robin Quivers.
Not my favorite part of the show, but man, it wouldn't be the show without her.
Yeah. I think Howard also says that he would not do the show if she wasn't there.
All right, no, he
It's
said
just
that numerous times.
Yeah. There's something about the fact that she and Fred have to be there in order for him to feel comfortable.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah, Fred
yes, Fred.
might be one of my favorite parts of that show.
Yeah. Robin's news kind of drives me crazy because it's as if she's hearing the news for the first time as well.
I'm sure it came in on some kind of ticker, but you wouldn't know it sometimes.
No, you wouldn't know that anybody perhaps had shown it to her ahead of time. And happy birthday to another cancer survivor, Dustin Hoffman, who turned 75 but can play anywhere from male to female.
This is also news, right?
Yes, just today, I think, yesterday or today, they just said that he survived happily some sort of cancer removal, but they didn't say what kind of cancer. So I don't know. It's cancer time apparently for birthdays. However, here's a little fun fact about Dustin Hoffman. He started off his acting career in LA after he flunked out of City College. That is awesome. There's something great about that. He went on to study acting at the Pasadena Playhouse and then promptly flunked out after 3 classes. Sweet. Yes.
Wow.
So he and his friend who he
2
met at the
Oscars.
Pasadena Playhouse, Gene Hackman, they moved together to New York City, see what they could do there. And he lived with Gene Hackman in a 1-bedroom apartment and slept on the kitchen floor until Gene said he would help him find somewhere else to live. Well, they moved next door to Mel Brooks in New York. And then, I know, it's amazing when you hear this.
Wow.
You're like, when's that going to happen to me? He lives next door to Mel Brooks, who says, I would like you to play Franz Lipkin in The Producers. But just as Hoffman was going to do that, he was offered the role of Ben Braddock in The Graduate, which was also co-starring Albert Brooks' wife, Anne Bancroft.
Mel Brooks.
Whoops,
Yes.
sorry.
Both brilliant.
Brilliant,
with different
yes.
Brookses.
Hoffman asked to be let out of his contract, and so the role of
Liebkind.
Liebkind.
It's German.
Who do you know who it went to?
I do.
You do. Anybody else?
Kenneth Mars.
Kenneth Mars, right?
Mm.
So, that's a good role. But, of course, in the role of a giant movie star, went to Dustin Hoffman. And that reminds me that I have not seen The Graduate, so I have to add that to my list.
First 20 minutes of that
Yes.
movie, I will put up against almost any art film. That is
Really?
one of the most brilliantly directed 20 minutes of film that exists.
Really?
I just watched it again recently.
Uh-huh.
Mike Nichols directs the shit out of at least the first 20 minutes of that movie is kind of different from the rest of it once it gets into the Mrs. Robinson stuff. But all the way through the leg shot and all that sort of stuff.
He's got an Oscar, right, Jamie?
Holy hell.
Mike Nichols?
But I mean,
No?
it's
That
just
doesn't seem right if he doesn't.
It just take another look at The Graduate if you haven't seen it in a while.
I
He
have not
directs
seen
the
it.
shit out of that movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, put that on your list.
I know. I'll
Yeah.
put that on after. And then, lastly, happy birthday to the late Lucille Ball, who passed away in 1989 at the age of 77, but could play anywhere from ditzy blonde to ditzy redhead. Now, Paul and I, we had a comedy show called Preston and Volpe, and we performed in the very first Lucille Ball Festival of New Comedy. We were both like 20 or something crazy, 22. And we performed in that show, which is in my hometown of Jamestown, New York. And then also in 1989, I was attending a junior college, and they told us that Lucille Ball was going to come back for graduation. And I was like, this is awesome. And they also told us that if you played an instrument in the band, you would get to meet her. So I hadn't played the clarinet for years because I hated playing the clarinet. And I was like, I will play the clarinet in the concert band. So I pulled out the clarinet, I practiced. It was going along swimmingly, and then a month before she was supposed to come, she passed away. But I couldn't get out of playing at the damn graduation. So I had to show up at the graduation. I know. And therefore, Lucy got the last laugh. So those are my
She showed you.
birthdays. She
There's
showed me.
birthdays.
Son of a-
Excellent.
Oscar winner.
Mike Nichols?
Mike Nichols?
For what? Not Lucille Ball. No. The Grad did win for the Grad.
He won for the
There you
Grad?
go.
There you
Because
go.
it didn't win Best
That-
Picture, so I
that
wasn't
happen
sure.
often?
Sometimes they split it up.
Wait, you do it.
How often the planes go over? So often you won't even notice.
Till we stop and make a bit
Right.
about it, which we will do now.
We will do.
Karen, thank you very much. I never knew that story about Lucille Ball with you.
Yeah.
You learn something new, even in this 10 years of marriage.
Strangely.
You guys are keeping it fresh in terms of old pop stars.
All right, well, that is, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, do you have another show? That's it. That's the Showcast, ladies and
Nailed
gentlemen.
it. You think we nailed it?
I think so, yeah.
I think we nailed it.
Together we are the
Yeah.
Movie Guys. Individually we are
Adam,
Preston.
Volpe.
Follow us on Twitter at The Movie Guys, on Facebook at facebook.com/The Movie Guys, as well as on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Vine, Instagram, Google+. Thanks to Dave Mattey,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Jamie Clark Elvington keeping our shit together, and of course Steve Scholes for writing contributions he makes to the show every week. And remember, you can follow everything we're doing, including our new report from the floor of Comic-Con with photos and one-line jokes on themovieguys.net. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. At BigDaveMattey.com.
Follow us on Twitter. It's quicker.